it's Verity here, welcome to my channel. I'm up on the Silhouette UK blog for another video showing how to cut and design with the Silkscreen starter kit. If you've not seen the video previously to this, I'll pop it up in the corner for you to have a look. So I've loaded my design up into the Silhouette Studio, and because I'm going to plan on cutting this off of the heat transfer vinyl that comes in the kit, I'm not going to use my mat. So I just need to change the page setup within the studio. So the HTV measures 12 inches by 15 inches. So I'm just changing this in the page size and using the custom selection in the drop down menu. And then I'm removing the mat because I'm not going to have a mat, so I don't need it there. So then I want to just rotate my design because I want it lengthwise to make sure I get the full width that it's going to fit around the actual silkscreen frame. And to do this, I do go into the transform panel and the rotate 90 degrees, and then I'm going into just centering it into the page. Then click on to your send window and select HTV smooth to cut out. And although these are the settings currently, I did several test cuts and I found that I had to set the force up to about 33 for my blade and machine. Make sure you always do your test cuts. When you send your design to cut, when it's on the HTV settings, when you press send, there will be a little reminder saying either to send as is or as mirrored. If you've already mirrored your design before going to the send screen, as in you've flipped it horizontally or vertically, you just select send is. If you haven't, like I have, I just send as mirrored, because it can vary from machine to machine. So this is the HTV, and as you can see, one side is shiny and one side is matte dull. So you want to cut with the shiny side down. And now I'm going to show you how to alter your machine to adjust it for cutting width that's smaller than the matte. So you need to move the lever on the right side down, and then you need to pull the white part out of the little notches and then pull it down to the next set of notches and put it back in. Then when you finish, you've got to remember to put your lever back up to the upright position, otherwise it won't grip your mat. I can now load up my machine, and you can see it's going to hit the roller gripper and it won't slide about. If I hadn't moved that down, it wouldn't have gripped the HTV and it would slide and slip about. So then I've just changing the blade to 2 using the little ratchet tool that's in the machine, and then just putting my blade within the canister and just locking it so it will stay in place. And then I've just set my design to cut. Once it was cut, I didn't show you that, or I then started weeding, and unfortunately I forgot to film the majority of that. I just used the hook tool to weed that out, and obviously you're going to have it reversed because you need to make sure it's sent negatively. So as you can see, the way it cut, unfortunately, Studio didn't quite position it within the center of my page, even though I asked it to. So I'm just adjusting this with the grid around to ensure that I'm getting enough of the actual silkscreen coming up the sides to actually adhere into the sides and lock in place. The HTV doesn't need to come up all the way up the sides because you are going to heat set it to the screen. As long as the screen is in those sides, it's fine. So the instructions state that you have to have the HTV side up with your silkscreen over the top. So rather than pressing the silkscreen down onto your silkscreen mesh, they want you to press your silkscreen mesh down into the HTV. I put a layer of some non-stick greaseproof paper over the top whilst I was ironing this because I didn't want to get the heat transfer coming through onto my iron as you're pressing down through your screen. And you can see it took me a while using an iron, giving enough pressure. I like to place a towel down to allow me to get good pressure and press down. And then once it was adhered, I let it cool and then peeled it off. Then I placed it over my frame, and you need to cut out squares at the corners just so it will fit around the edge of the frame and it slots nicely into it. the kit comes with some black fabric paint, and you also get your Squeegee scraper tool to allow you to scrape down, and you can use it horizontally or vertically, it fits both ways. Now when you're doing this, you need to position your paint over the areas where obviously the screen is going to come through. No point putting it all up the top and scraping it down half of the sheet and it's not actually going to go through anything. It's just wasting your paint. Now it does say to do a practice run, and I was practicing this on just some scrap canvas material just to get the hang of it. It does say try to avoid repeat passes over your screen. However, I didn't really have a problem. As long as you don't nudge your screen, it's not really going to cause much of a problem. And I just found it was quite easy. Once you've finished, you can easily scrape all the paint that's still on your scraper back into the little tube, and you're not going to waste it, which is great. So just pulling it off, as you can see there was a little area down in the right hand corner where I obviously kept missing with my scraping, so I need to try and concentrate on making sure I get good coverage. Now I just gave it a wash because I was going to put it onto my canvas bag, tote bag. I didn't want paint to transfer where it's not supposed to, so I gave it a wash. As you can see, the paint does stain it, but it doesn't actually affect its ability to screen. So here's my canvas tote bag. I'm just putting some cardboard in there between because I'm going to be pressing this paint through in case it comes through my canvas. I don't want it to go onto the other side of the card, so it will just go onto the cardboard instead. Just repeating the whole process again, popping the paint over the areas where I'm going to paint, where I want the paint to go through, and just doing several passes over it again. Now again, I got a bit more of a better print through on that right hand corner, but it was still a little bit thin, so I just used a paintbrush, some of that extra paint, just to go over it. So as you can see, I think this really printed really well. My pattern design is quite intricate and it's picked up quite a bit of that detail, so I'm really chuffed with that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please think about subscribing to my channel and hitting that bell icon so you'll be notified when I next have a video. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you've checked out my previous one where I show the unboxing. Until next time, happy crafting!